Cities aren't what they seem. To really know them, one must penetrate into their legends, into those stories that few know but that explain that strange noise that's sometimes heard in a certain street, the curious name of that avenue, or even why some people prefer to avoid walking through a specific place at a certain time. Cities aren't what they seem, that's a fact. And if you stay with us in today's opportunity, you'll learn about some urban legends that will show you not only what defined these places, but also that, from the beginning, they were always totally true. Number 5. The Metal Beast. You have probably come across a parent and their children in the middle of the escalators of a shopping mall. If you've been observant enough, or if you simply overheard their conversation, adults generally warn their children to never go on an escalator with untied shoelaces unless they want to be devoured by the escalator gears. For many, this may be an exaggeration, an urban legend, a precautionary measure at best, but those people could be very wrong. Cases of escalator accidents for this and various other reasons are true, painfully true. That's something that technicians like Kevin Doherty understand all too well. After more than 20 years in the industry, he has seen people lose legs, hands, fingers, and even their lives at the hands of these escalators. Although Kevin is a veteran of what he does, he's still amazed at what an escalator can do to human flesh. These sophisticated mechanisms are designed to minimize risk, but when accidents happen, what people think is a legend becomes a reality. Number 4. Lethal calls. You may not know the following legend, but it has caused phone companies to lose money on stormy days since the 1990s. According to this urban myth, it's said that you should never pick up the phone or take a call when there's heavy rain outside, as it could be the last thing you ever do in your life. Some people think that this idea arose from people who were scared of technology and was propagated by older people who saw potential danger in these new gadgets. However, the reality seems to be a little different. It all started in 1985 when a 17-year-old student named Jason Johnson was found dead in his room with a phone in his hand. The investigations were exhaustive. The young man had just been admitted to the military school 4 days earlier. Therefore, his health was in perfect condition. So what happened in that room? When they checked the outskirts of the house, looking for some kind of clue, they discovered that lightning had struck the outside telephone cable. Could this be related? Indeed, the evidence showed that the powerful discharge had reached Jason's room as he was about to make the call that would cost him his life. Number 3. Don't open the closet. No matter what culture you belong to, one of the most popular urban myths in the world is about closets. It seems that this place hides the creepiest creatures that feed the fears of the imagination. Sometimes, many people feel that they are being watched from this place, and others even see a completely static human form, perhaps waiting for their moment to attack. However, these spooky stories of ghosts, monsters, or spirits are not born out of irrational fear, but have a real story behind them. It's said that this urban myth was born in Japan several decades ago, when a 57-year-old man started having a hard time sleeping. He usually had nightmares and woke up with the strange wounds on his body. He also felt footsteps in the night, despite living all alone. And in general, during the middle of the night, he would hear the sound of a near door being completely closed even though it was padlocked. One night, the man decided to fill the floor of his room with flour. If someone was in his house, they would leave footprints and he would notice them. It was a foolproof plan, and when he woke up, he got what he wanted. There were tiny footprints on the floor all over the room, like those of a 7-year-old girl, especially around his bed. The footsteps started in his closet and then ended there. Immediately, the man opened the closet, but there was nothing, absolutely nothing. The next night, when he felt a strange presence watching him, he immediately got up and went to the closet, but what he found horrified him. There she was, a translucent girl, staring at him before the man fainted. From that moment on, the legend spread through the town and many claim to have experienced something similar. It crossed borders little by little and settled in people's imagination as a terrifying legend to fear, without them knowing that it had been a true story. Number 2. Revenge Pulled. No self-respecting senior citizen trusts birds, especially those known as scavengers, because according to an urban legend, they are capable of mercilessly attacking any defenseless person when hunger forces them to follow their instincts. For this reason, it is uncommon for them to recommend their grandchildren to stay away from these apparently harmless animals, but in reality, they aren't so innocent. In fact, history has proven it. In many parts of the world, these vengeful birds have been responsible for more than 100 murders. They often do this in groups and, above all, to victims walking alone in cleared areas. To do so, they use sharp beaks to cut and slit their victims until they bleed to death. Then they devour them, leaving the corpses unrecognizable. But this isn't exclusive to scavengers. You would be surprised to know how many roosters have pecked the jugular vein of their owners to death. And the same situation is repeated with other species of those adorable little birds that you see every day that hide a deadly danger and a hungry thirst for blood. Number 1. Don't wake up in this place. One of the most important urban myths in every city revolves around death. Specifically, the place where bodies rest when they die. Yes, we're talking about coffins. Parents and grandparents always called their children and grandchildren when they try to lie in a coffin or see how comfortable the inside of these incredible, carefully crafted works of art are. However, although it may be simple superstition, this legend is based on a real event that began in northern Russia. There, a woman named Fagiliu suffered a heart attack and her husband took her to the hospital. In the emergency room, the doctors, who were just having lunch, treated her half-heartedly and pronounced her dead. A funeral was quickly organized and all her relatives attended, but when a group of men carried the coffin to the cemetery, something horrifying happened. Screaming, banging, crying, all the sounds blended into one and came from the coffin. Immediately, the men were so frightened that they threw the coffin to the ground, through which Fagiliu emerged completely dismayed, but alive. Everyone was astonished, terrified, and happy. But something worse happened next. 3 minutes after Fagiliu awoke, she again fell victim to a deep sleep, this time for good. Fagiliu died immediately, presumably from a second heart attack upon seeing herself in that painful situation. But since then, this legend turned coffins into a place of bad luck that brings the living closer to the world of the dead before their time. Zone 0. One of the most disturbing urban legends of recent times has gone from real life to having a lot of presence in social networks. However, its existence is ancient. It's the Wendigo, a mythological creature classified as an evil spirit by the ancient tribes of Nova Scotia in Western Canada. According to the legends, the Wendigo is a malevolent spirit that possesses humans and turns them into vile, greedy, cannibalistic beings with an endless amount of harmful behaviors. Often, this spirit is imperceptible, but according to local folklore, its physical form is that of a strange humanoid dog, quite large and covered with heavy dark hair. The most curious is that a photograph taken by a group of university students on walking the outskirts of their city has become very popular in social networks. In the images, a dark, huge creature running on all fours appeared. Besides its high speed, its jumps are gigantic. Many have associated it with the form of the Wendigo. In fact, it perfectly fits the ancient descriptions, but doubt still remains. The university students were unable to pinpoint the creature's course, and soon after the photograph was taken, it completely disappeared. Curiously, weeks later, the driver of the vehicle was admitted to a psychiatric hospital after reacting violently to a police inspection of his car. Coincidence? most are sure it wasn't. The mystery survives, as do so many other urban legends in our cities. Every corner offers a new possibility to horrify us with facts that seem untrue and ancient, but are more relevant than ever. In fact, if you'd really like to know more about the mysteries of the cities and the farthest corners of the world, you'd better join us to explore other stories in the following videos. We assure you that after watching them, you'll understand that superstitions and legends are real, very real.